The cold feeling on her belly, the smooth piece of plastic sliding on her skin. She was used to these sensations now. The nurse continued to chat while she applied more pressure, but Rebecca was hardly listening. She was waiting for something to appear on the screen. Suddenly, the nurse went quiet. Rebecca's heart dropped. Growing up, Rebecca had always wanted a big family. When she turned 25, it seemed like all her dreams were coming true. She met who she thought was the man of her dreams, and they had a little girl together. But Rebecca never expected to go through this much pain so early on in her relationship. Her baby, Summer Grace, was perfect in every way. But that wasn't enough to keep her father in the picture. Rebecca resolved to raise Summer on her own, and she did. Even though Rebecca desperately wanted more children, she knew that she had to wait for the right guy to come along this time. Rebecca raised Summer by herself. Although it was challenging, she felt extremely blessed to have her daughter. From her first steps and her first day at school, Rebecca was there for every milestone in her life. And now that her daughter was a teenager, Rebecca could focus more on her career. Then Reese came along. It was love at first sight. When Rebecca met Reese Weaver, she knew he was the one, so they began a whirlwind romance. Rebecca had put her dreams of having more children on the back burner for 13 years. But now she felt like she was being given a second shot at the big family she'd always wanted. Only there was one problem. Reese and Rebecca both desperately wanted to have children together, but it was beginning to look like an impossible dream. The reality was that Rebecca was now 38 years old, and that window of opportunity may have passed. They spoke to doctors who all explained the risks, but Rebecca was still determined to try. It took nearly a year of IVF treatment, but Rebecca eventually got pregnant. She'd wanted to keep the news a secret until the second trimester, but she never made it that far. After the heartbreak of an early miscarriage, she didn't want to try again. She spiraled into a deep depression and stopped leaving the house. Reese couldn't bear to see her like that. Little did they know something much bigger than both of them was coming. In December 2020, Reese convinced Rebecca to try one more round of IVF. If it didn't work, he reasoned they could start looking into other options. After all, there were plenty of children who needed a good home. Rebecca prayed every night for the pregnancy to take, but something else was about to turn their lives upside down. In February 2020, Rebecca suspected that she might be pregnant, so she took a home pregnancy test. She'd been feeling a little off for a few weeks, but she hardly even dared to hope. She closed her eyes and prayed while she waited for the clear blue test to either break her heart or make her the happiest woman on earth. Which would it be? "I was offered an early scan at 7 weeks," Rebecca explained. Reese was able to come to the scan too, as hospitals were still open at that point. "We saw our tiny little baby. It was so small." A few weeks after the initial scan, Rebecca went for a 10-week ultrasound, but the doctors had some unsettling news. The doctors warned Rebecca and Reese that this was a geriatric pregnancy due to Rebecca's age. They explained that there were certain risks that came with carrying a baby after a woman turns 35. But Rebecca wouldn't be discouraged. When she saw the ultrasound of her 10-week-old baby, she fell in love right there and then. But then the excited parents got home and they saw the news. On the 23rd of March 2020, the UK went into full lockdown. Reese and Rebecca couldn't believe the news, but life had to go on, and they couldn't let the terrifying things going on all around them distract from what was meant to be a perfect moment in their lives. But when Rebecca went for her 12-week scan, the nurse picked up something strange on the ultrasound. Rebecca felt the cold jelly and the smooth piece of plastic sliding on her skin. It was her third scan, so she was used to the procedure now. The only difference this time was that Reese hadn't been allowed to come in with her. Suddenly, the nurse went quiet. "Is everything okay?" Rebecca asked. Then the nurse called the doctor. The sonographer had picked up a second figure on the ultrasound. But how could that be? Just a few weeks before, everyone had been sure that there had only been one baby. Rebecca soon learned that it wasn't twins she was looking at, but it was something completely different, an anomaly. Everyone was gobsmacked. What on earth had happened? How did they miss the other baby? Rebecca remembers thinking. The sonographer said she was gobsmacked. Meanwhile, Reese waited in the parking lot, oblivious to the chaos that was exploding in the doctor's room. But as the sonographer wasn't able to measure the second baby properly, Rebecca went for more scans. Something definitely wasn't right. Baby number 2 was significantly smaller than the first. The sonographer and doctors couldn't understand what was going on until Rebecca saw a twins specialist. What had happened was Rebecca had ovulated again. Basically, she had conceived another baby while she was already pregnant. This extremely rare phenomena is called superfetation. But what did this mean for the babies?